Hey, brothers and sisters. Thank you for clicking. Thank you for joining me. I want to talk a little bit about a year of Jubilee. Um, Most people who get prophecy, who understand prophecy, they understand in First Thessalonians 5:1 when Paul said, "Dear brother, I don't have to write you about the times and the seasons." No, he's talking about the feast days. That the people he was writing to with regard to the rapture didn't understand the feast days or the appointed times of the Lord, he would have to explain them to them. I'm not going to explain them to you right now. I'm going to assume you know. The rapture can only be on Rosh Hashanah. Just like Messiah could not die on just any day, he couldn't be crucified on just any day. He had to be crucified on Passover, and he had to raise from the grave on the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Excuse me, on the Feast of First Fruits. Hopefully you know what I just said and understand that. Every year at Rosh Hashanah, here's what happens. The day passes, the rapture doesn't happen. Could be a year of Jubilee. Every year could be a year of Jubilee. Interesting. You ever notice about a year of Jubilee too? Nobody really knows when it is. And if they do have a date for it, it's based on, well, this happened in 19 this and this happened at this year. And they base it on historical events. And there's no place in the Bible where you can take any of those historical events and talk about a year of Jubilee with regard to them. It's just not there. Year of Jubilee, what? Leviticus 25, 27, Ezekiel 40, verse 1, when he's talking about the millennial kingdom. He gets his vision at the beginning of the year on the 10th day, or beginning of the year on the 10th day, year of Jubilee. And the phrase that comes up that Messiah used, the acceptable year of the Lord in Isaiah 61:1, which he quotes later. So we really don't know. But every year could be a year of Jubilee, so you give it an extra 10 days. Guess what? A couple weeks ago, I realized something. Okay, tribulation's a week of years, 7 years, right? Not that any 7 years. If you go to Daniel 9, it talks about 77s or 70 weeks are decreed for your people, Daniel. They're specific. 6 days, um, excuse me, 6 days you work, 1 day you rest. 6 years you work the land, 1 year you have a Shemitah year, a Sabbath rest of the land. 6,000 years were on earth, 1,000-year millennial reign, the day of the Lord, starting with the rapture and tribulation. See, it's got to be a specific week of years, one of those weeks on God's calendar. If tribulation started on a year of Jubilee, a year of Jubilee is not part of a week of years. It is a separate year by itself, complete and separate year by itself. You count 7 weeks of years, 7 weeks of 7 years, 49 years, and then you have a year of Jubilee. It's a 50-year cycle. So if the rapture happened at the beginning of a year of Jubilee, you not have 2 years of tribulation because you're not going to go a year from the rapture until you start tribulation. Why would I say that? Go to Joel 2, verse 1. Blow the trumpet in Zion. Sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let the inhabitants of the lands tremble. For the day of the Lord is coming, for it is at hand. That means it's here. It's at hand. It's here. It's more clear if you read it in the Hebrew. So I'm told. I don't read Hebrew. My teacher does. But sound an alarm. That means the armies are coming. That's Psalm 80, the Psalm 83 war. That's happening right after the rapture. You read the rest of it, and you're seeing tribulation. Can't be in a year of Jubilee. That would mean tribulation is 8 years. Thank you very much for watching, brothers and sisters. I got at least one more short video. I got some other videos in mind. If you got questions, let me know. God bless you, and Maranatha.